Hello everybody and welcome back to my fantastic show where I look at movies in video form. Recently I got very lucky and happened upon a fantastic deal on my favorite video buying service Vudu. They were selling a large selection of Lifetime movies for a mere 99 cents a pop. I have of course heard a lot of interesting takes on Lifetime movies with Drew Gooden and Ralph the Movie Maker among others, coming to the consensus that they're weird and bad, which I can't say surprises me, although there must be some merit to these films since there's almost 300 of them at this point, and while I could sit here and call them terrible, and I certainly will, there must be something appealing about these films that make middle-aged women like them. I assume it appeals to middle-aged women the same way as Transformers relates to China, or Fight Club appeals to people who hate women and punch holes in their walls. In such an objective medium, it's hard to really call something good or bad based on story alone, after all. I could force 1,000 people to sit in a room and watch a Lifetime film, an Avengers film, and Casablanca, and I'm sure the movie people consider the best in the film sphere would probably rank the lowest. So for this video, I'm going to try to harness my inner middle-aged mom who has 3 kids and got divorced 8 years ago. I'm teetering on the verge of morbid obesity, and all I want is a nice caring man to make love to me and have my kids call him new daddy, which will drive my ex-husband Terry fucking crazy.
Welcome to Grumpy Cat's Worst Christmas Ever, the movie! You don't have to watch it.
Anyhow, Grumpy Cat's Worst Christmas was written and directed by a man who has a long history with similar projects, Tim Hill. He wrote and directed the upcoming or recently released Sponge on the Run film. He did War with Grandpa, which I recently reviewed, Hop, Alvin and the Chipmunks, Garfield the Tale of Two Kitties, the SpongeBob movie, and so on. So I guess he's the man for the job on this Grumpy Cat feature. And as you may suspect, this film is pretty terrible, and that's even from the lens of a middle-aged single mom I am LARPing as for this video. The plot in a nutshell is that a little girl is sad that she has no friends, but she meets the ghost of a Santa Claus impersonator, or Santa Claus himself, it's hard to tell, and he grants her a wish, which she uses to get a friend, who ends up being Grumpy Cat. Then the plot of Paul Blart happens. This film is based on the Grumpy Cat character, a living meme of sorts, who I think was some sort of advice animal and clickbait farm, though I'm not sure since I'm not hip with the memes, let alone the ones that were popular when I was in the 8th grade. Grumpy Cat seems to have one of the worst lives an animal could have, and this film being puppeteered around and forced to kind of just look sad. And I know that's how this animal looked, but let's be honest, if you owned a cat, you would know that they don't like being paraded around, and I can't imagine it liked the crowded film set either. To be honest, this cat looks fucking abused, and it's pretty sad. Aubrey Plaza, who I think is pretty good in some stuff, is awful in this film. Like, I know she really didn't care about this shit movie and was supposed to play her character disinterested, and I think that's kind of the Grumpy Cat interest of being disinterested, but it doesn't sound like acting, it sounds like boredom, and the voice director seemingly was satisfied with even the shittiest of takes.
Okay, so here's the deal. We had every intention of shattering that thing, but unfortunately, we didn't have the budget for it. Okay? Not my problem.
They obviously wanted to be a meme movie that appeals to little girls, I think, because the characters in the subject matter feel like they were begging for kids to like this when clearly it just wasn't going to happen. They use meme font frequently towards the start, Nana Cat and Keyboard Cat cameo, the Mexican guy won't shut up about tacos, which is played as a meme, I think.
Life is like a soft taco. If you dig inside, meet the lettuce, the protein of your choice.
And Grumpy Cat herself frequently injects LOL random humor to make the memes even worse.
Blah, 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 B story, not my line, not my line, not my line. Meow.
These moments are obnoxious and kind of Deadpool movie-esque, but much worse because at least Deadpool was occasionally funny. This was just all cringe. And there's even a point in the movie they sold on Blu-ray and digital, not just TV broadcasts, mind you, where Grumpy Cat interjects a 30-second commercial for Grumpy Cat merch.
Grumpy Cat golf balls, or the Grumpy Cat dartboard, and for the ladies, a surefire hit, Grumpy underwear. To see what else is new this season, please visit www.grumpycats.com.
I paid 99 cents for this film. I don't want to see that shit. Not too surprising though, since Grumpy Cat's owner still capitalizes off of the dead cat to this day with ads to some shitty mobile game on Grumpy Cat's channel. I'm sure the owner cried when the gravy train died. The pet shop owner in the Grumpy Cat dream sequence also talks about how great it would be if Grumpy Cat became a meme, then looks right at the camera and says, and gets a Lifetime movie.
And, oh, I don't know, maybe a Lifetime movie.
I'm laughing hysterically. This is a very clever joke. The plot itself, as I said, is very much Paul Blart with some Home Alone in there. Basically, the little girl has to stop a heist, and then there are these two Home Alone villain type people who try to steal a dog worth $1 million in the mall. But plot twist, the Paul Blart clone is really the mastermind. The problem with that is that Paul Blart, man, is pathetic, and the twist is basically stolen from the real Paul Blart, where Paul Blart's trainee mall cop guy was evil. It's pretty lame. This mall cop also rides a Rascal, not a Segway, which I assume was to make this legally distinct, but the Rascal is also made fun of frequently, much like Paul Blart's Segway. They really couldn't have made it more obvious that this fucking Grumpy Cat movie is a Paul Blart clone. What else? Oh, our main character's mom is a single mom who gets a hunky new boyfriend. The ADR is pretty bad. There's like multiple points where the little girl's either clearly voiced over or somehow in the editing, like the lines got mismatched and they didn't bother to fix it. And there was this really weird part where the mom's concerned that her young daughter was raped and talks about that to her, and then Grumpy Cat quips that that's a different Lifetime film.
Those guys didn't do anything to you, did they?
That's a different kind of Lifetime movie.
You know what I mean?
No, Mom.
That's not really okay. I'm kind of surprised Lifetime let that one slide in a kid's film, but also on a network which makes films about strong women who survive the tragedy of being raped. It's pretty weird.
It was you.
But I guess it's okay because it's Grumpy Cat and he's silly and she's silly. The poor cat is a little abused puppet that's forced to spout rape jokes. How fantastic. Honestly, this was a horrible and boring film that is unfunny, derivative, and extremely shady in the ways it handles business. Just a pro tip, don't shill your shit in your feature film. It's sad and pathetic. Anyways, rest in peace, Grumpy Cat. I genuinely believe you're happier being dead than a consumerist puppet. Hello, who's this? I'm trying to make my video on Lifetime movies.
Hey,
NTMA Productions.
this is Ernie Hudson, Winston Zedmore from, Ghostbusters, Oz, The Rocks the Cradle, just in a few film and TV shows.
Whoa, what? Ernie Hudson, what are you doing on my show?
I just want to ask you this. Can you
Review my Lifetime movie.
Sigh. Alright, fine, I'll review it. Ah, shit. Heaven Sent is a 2016 Lifetime film starring a bunch of dirty nobodies and Ernie Hudson. Channeling my middle-aged single mom, this movie is competent and shot well enough, and the story isn't bad. But to be honest, the movie was really boring. The plot is basically a remake of The Odd Life of Timothy Green, basically beat for beat, but the big difference is it's a little girl from heaven rather than a little boy from the ground. At the end, the girl goes back to heaven just like Timothy Green, who dies or whatever. I haven't seen the movie since I was 8, so bear with me. Anyways, the plot is as follows. Some guy named Billy with a soul patch is getting a divorce with his generic wife he runs a business with, and she works too hard. The old shaggy dog motif flipped on its head. Anyhow, they get this magical little angel girl, and they kind of just talk about how they love the girl. But there's a drama afoot because the wife's being hit on by some guy who wants to buy their business. Anyways, the kid goes back to heaven and the couple is magically pregnant. The end. The actors in this film are pretty boring and standard with the exception of Billy, who I love. He starts the film with a Rorschach-esque speech about how love sucks and the world is full of dumb people who fall in love, but the noir detective music and gravelly voice leads you to believe this is going to be one hell of a ride. Like when he first talks to his wife and douchey business guy, he sounds like he's planning a fucking murder and it's great. But then it's kind of just dissolves into a generic love drama, which is pretty lame. Also, the reason I can't show you this film is because Vudu has this annoying DRM, and I can't download a copy of it anywhere, so the looping trailer is what you guys get. Whoops. Also, by the way, if you're listening to this and you're internet pirate mind buying and ripping all the Lifetime movies to dump on the internet for my movie reviews, that would be great. They kind of imply, though, that Ernie Hudson's like the devil or some evil guy or whatever. He kind of just stalks them, but then it turns out he's the little girl's angel mentor or something, and he doesn't show up till the last 20 minutes, bar a few Ernie stalking scenes. I'm kind of surprised he wanted me to review his Lifetime movie so badly, honestly. And there is this twist at the end that the girl was from a miscarriage, which, despite not being mentioned or at all hinted at throughout the film, about the miscarriage, it's something I called from the second she came from fucking heaven. Though I also thought she may have been an abortion baby for a second, but I didn't know at the time how religious and preachy this film was going to be at the time, which it wasn't that religious and preachy to where a little abortion baby comes from heaven, but whatever. I mean, the miscarriage works too. That's my point. Honestly, I don't have anything else to say. For what it is, it's shot well, written well, and acted well, but it's just one of those films that if you're not a single mom or a religious old person, that you're not really going to like it. And I also want to point out again, this is our second Lifetime film, and like the first, this is a knockoff film with a divorced or divorcing people really playing to their demographic. Honestly, a half hour from the end, I was going to quit this film and wrap it up with Grumpy Cat, but, you know, I'm not a coward. So next we have Radio Christmas. Radio Christmas is a predictable Christmas film made for middle-aged single moms. This film's probably the most run-of-the-mill Lifetime formula of the three films I'm reviewing. Where the other two had bizarre shit sprinkled throughout, this is what I presume most of these Lifetime films are. The plot is pretty basic. It stars a woman who DJs on a big-time radio station, which experiences an off-screen electrical fire which forces her to broadcast from a small town called Bethlehem. Anyways, she meets a guy whose daughter turns out to be a fan of her weird 24/7, 365 Christmas radio station that she runs year-round, and she befriends them. The lead is also trying to find out who the secret Santa is, who stimulated the economy of this town, and surprise, surprise, it's the hunky guy. Anyway, she falls in love with him, and she moves to the town at the end, and that's it. That's the entire film. This film is pretty run-of-the-mill as one may expect, and it's actually really boring as a result. It's not poorly filmed, though it feels cheap and quickly made. And it's not poorly acted, with these bit actors doing fine with the material. It's really just a standard Christmas romp where our characters fall in love and sit around doing dumb shit, saying sentimental crap about Christmas. It's actually pretty interesting to me that this film was shot and structured the way it was, because it pretty much feels like a standard kids film, but targeted towards middle-aged women instead of children. We have a character who has a special skill, like radio broadcasting. Somewhat meaningless drama takes place, and they fall in love after a falling out. It's basically the archetype of almost every Christmas movie. Switch some stuff around and add a dog, and you pretty much got an Air Bud movie, honestly. For the most part, it's not terribly done, and it's not batshit like the other films we covered, kind of just making it a boring waste of time when compared to the other two. So that was a look back at my handful of Lifetime Christmas movies, and while we have a couple batshit Lifetime films, we also have some pretty standard ones as well. Overall, meh. I mean, the second two films were competent, but Grumpy Cat feels like the exception, not the rule. I've seen a couple other, the infamously bad ones, like the cyber serial killer who, like, kills people by finding them on Facebook or some shit. So next time I may just have to cherry pick some random ones if I do this again, rather than trying to stick to the Christmas theme, because I seemingly found the two slightly interesting ones, and then I assume pretty much the rest of them are these horrible run-of-the-mill sentimental Christmas movies where divorced dad or mom falls in love with other divorced person. That basically seems to be the general idea of these films.